Snare, what you playing?
Destiny. Bloodborne.
Good. Now take off your pants.
Oh, fuck off, Lee!
Hi guys, welcome to Overbite Gaming. Today we're doing yet another review, this time of The Witcher 3.
Which is a brand new, spanking new game from CD Projekt Red, who have previously done Witcher 1, Witcher 2, all to critical acclaim, I believe.
Yes, they were very well received. In fact, they've been getting better as the series goes along and also longer, which bodes well for this review, of course.
Yeah, I mean, the guys over at CD Projekt Red, I think they've been receiving some glowing reviews for this game so far.
Absolutely have.
And we've had about a week and a half to work through as much of the game as we can, because this game is massive.
It's enormous. So
it's very difficult to sit here and pretend that we've completed this game for you.
No, we certainly haven't.
No.
Absolutely not. I mean, I think my Geralt is like level 10, so that should give you some idea.
And I think some missions in the game need you to be like level 24, so...
Or higher, I've seen 33.
Yeah, so there's obviously a massive expanse of game to play. So this review is going to be based on our experiences so far, so bear that in mind. But I wanted to certainly go through some of the things that you get in the package as well. So here's what you actually get in the package. Now, this is just the basic option that you get with the console versions. He bought on Steam, so he gets nothing of this good stuff. But you get a game manual. This is going to be really quick, but one of the things I was really impressed by is, you can see that there, this is the game screen with all of the kind of bits and pieces that you would have to see in the game laid out nicely, so it's easy to kind of work out what you get in the screen.
There's a distinct lack of boobs.
Yes, well, I can draw some on there for you later, Lee. That's the thing. Also, inside, and bearing in mind this is the basic edition, this is not the special edition, which is like 120, 140 pounds. Comes with figurine and medallion and all kinds of stuff. But for a basic version, they've done really well. You get a map of the actual area, which I think is pretty cool if you put it in a frame. It's on old-looking paper on the back, and you have your map of the different areas in the game. That's all cool.
Smells like video games.
Yeah. If you're one of those people that likes the smell of new books and new produced plastic things, it's got that smell. It's very good. You also get this thank you note from CD Projekt Red with the logo on the back, which is basically saying thank you for buying the game, and as a thank you, because we've been working hard on it, you get 16 packs of DLC for free, which is awesome.
Yep. We
don't know what these are yet.
We've had a couple.
Have we?
We've had a new hair and beard for Geralt. There's a mission about rescuing miners or something, and there's a new outfit for Yennefer as well so far. So we've had 3, I think, so far.
Unusually, you actually get a soundtrack in the game as well, which is good.
It's very nice. It's a soundtrack I believe Snare would like quite a lot, because he's into sort of the whole sort of orchestral ambient music.
Yeah, it's all good. There's 31 tracks on here, all ranging from about 1.5 minutes to 3 minutes. But as a freebie as part of your game, you can't be sniffed at for doing that. That's awesome. You get some stickers for those of you that are still like 12 years old, or have like guitars. Maybe you could stick it on your guitar or something.
Or your lunchbox.
Well, yeah, well, I don't have a lunchbox. I have no use for these stickers. Do you want them?
No.
Okay. And also a little bit about the world. It's a compendium, but it's not really a compendium when it's like 10 pages. 16 pages.
I think it's just there to bring up on the events of the previous games. Thing is,
yeah.
The first one never made it to console at all, and the second one made it to, I think, the 360 and the PS3, but in a much, I don't want to say dumbed down, but scaled back format.
Yeah, so all in all, I think for a standard release version, this is probably one of the best contained bits of a console game I've actually seen. So props to CD Projekt Red for doing that.
Yeah, there is one thing about the Steam version that Snare did fail to mention, that you get 3 as well, and that's an extra 30 frames per second.
Well, to be honest, we can come on to that now, because the frame rate on the console version is really the most noticeable. of any PS4 game I've played so far. It's not running 30 frames per second. In most places it's sub 30.
Yeah, I think one of the main problems with it is it's not running a consistent frame rate, and that's when you really notice it, because you get used to low frame rates, which is why he's perfectly happy on his PS4. But if it's moving up and down, you're going to notice that a lot.
When things get busy on screen and there's some popping involved, with some of the textures in the distance and stuff, it's noticeable. I have seen the PC version, which Lee's been playing, and it is noticeably better. I'll hold my hands up as a console peasant and say you've got the better version.
Yes, and I only had to pay like, what was it, £400 for a graphics card to do it, so
Quids in. But yeah, generally the graphics do take a bit of a toll. All in all, it's still a beautiful looking game, even on the console.
Yeah, I mean the weather effects are lovely. I mean, should we address the elephant in the room right now?
Go on then.
The E3 demo that they showed was significantly better graphically.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, there you go. It's because they're able to do it because it's not having to respond to random input. It's pre-generated, so it is in engine, but because it knows exactly what it's doing next, it's not having to take any graphical processing leaps, because it knows where it's going, so it can work it out in advance.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's basically a lot of environmental effects and lighting that were basically taken down. But it still looks great.
Yeah, I mean, even with the reduced frame rate on the console, you're getting really defined shadows, great lighting effects through, bushes and trees and reflecting off surfaces. At night time, there's a weird effect from the moon. I don't know if you've noticed it, I don't know if it's because of the reduced graphical kind of console setup, but the bushes and grass seems to glow this weird purpley blue in a line, sort of as a reflection from the moon. It doesn't quite work for me, but on the whole, I'd say 95% of the time, you could just stop and look around and admire the beauty in that game. They've really spent a lot of time on all the textures, the way the grass moves and bends as you're walking through it. Even on the console, I don't know what it's like on PC, I haven't seen that gameplay. But it doesn't just kind of move as some old games used to.
Yeah.
It flattens as you walk over it and then it pops back up again. So they're trying to push the boundaries, and we should applaud them for that. Yeah,
I mean, it is one of my own bugbears that you're running an Xbox One or a PS4 on basically a cut-down PC. Why don't we...
Sorry.
Why don't we give the console gamers the same facilities that have been available on PC since the year dot? The ability to scale down the graphics if they want better performance, or if they want it shinier, scale it up and take that performance hit. Just give them the choice to do that, and then they can play it however they want.
Yeah, but I think one of the arguments for consoles is that it becomes a level playing field. So everyone's got those problems. No one's going to have souped up graphic cards when they're going to start playing multiplayer and stuff like that.
Yeah, I take your point. I mean, having better frame rate is going to be better for gameplay, whatever, and it's going to give you an advantage in multiplayer.
I mean, back in the old days when you could take off the textures and the amount of bushes were on screen and stuff, people were playing things like Counter-Strike or Joint Ops and stuff, removing all the cover and the bushes that might hide opponents on PC, and then be able to just, you think you're hiding behind a bush, that bush isn't there for the other guy, he can see you straight away. And that's the kind of thing that can be a problem. I mean, for me, I'd probably like the ability to change the texture settings and the graphical quality.
Yeah.
But
even now, I mean, they have Hairworks, which is basically NVIDIA's version of TressFX, which was debuted in Tomb Raider. And they've got that in. It is a frame rate hog, so most people play with it off. But you have the option to turn it off and get those frames back. It should be exactly the same for console players. Specifically, I mean, if you've got an online version of it, okay, maybe have that set so you don't gain an advantage over other people. But for a single player game, give them the choice.
Yeah, it's kind of the obvious thing. I think with all those graphical problems that we're kind of going on about, it still looks beautiful, and you can ignore most of the frame rate problems and the hair effects and stuff, because you're still looking at a really, really well put together graphically game. I'd like to move on to just the controls briefly as we get all the bad stuff out of the way.
Okay.
I found some of the controls a bit unintuitive, because it's a third person. You are if you want to go and loot something or open a chest or attack and stuff like that, you have a screen prompt, okay? But that screen prompt only works when the character is facing the object, not the camera, which to me feels a bit weird. I think I've got used to being able to look the camera a certain way and then say, right, I'm now looking at that object, so I'll pick that up. Don't have to like mess around with him trying to move a bit round just to face the right way. Yeah,
it's also problematic because where he is defined by his animation, if that makes sense. So you can't just inch forward, you have to take a step forward.
Yeah, it's a bit problematic, and it does get a bit annoying. And when you call your horse, which you can do, which is great, I do love the horse riding in it. Mm-hmm. The races that you can do in it. Have you done any races yet?
I've done the one it made me do.
The race, I don't like them. They're filler. They really are. You have to chase somebody, but the detection between the horses on the track, it makes him stop galloping.
Yeah,
and it's really fucking irritating.
To be fair, he will hang up on a lot of stuff. If there's like a little dip, sometimes he'll just be like, "You can fuck off, I ain't doing that."
I've even gone through a door to I think it was the Bloody Baron's castle. It doesn't give anything away.
Crow's Perch?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But when you go through the gate, you start to gallop before the gate to go out, and you go outside the gate and then stop and go kind of, whoa. You're like, there's nothing there. Just, what are you doing? Just carry on running. So there's little bits and pieces like that, which for most people might go, oh, for fuck's sake. But you'll still then see the beautiful world and want to continue playing. Getting on the horse is a bit of an arse as well.
Well, and in the fact it's the same problem that you've had before.
Yeah, but that's just another aspect of it. But I still, despite those kind of bits, I love it. I think it's an RPG's wet dream. RPG player's wet dream.
There are a lot of boobs in it.
Yes, there are boobs. I think there's boobs within the first 5 minutes.
No, I think there's just a bum.
Well, there's nakedness.
There's
anyway.
nakedness.
Yeah.
There's not like full-on nakedness. Like Witcher 2, it's like first 5 minutes of gameplay. Bam. Front, back, tops. Ray.
Yeah, he took the time to show me that earlier. On game, not his. Oh dear. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, it's a sexual kind of game. But I still think that the female characters in it aren't just painted as sex objects.
No, they're characters in their own right, but they have the same, sexual urges as everybody else, which, is fair.
But I've just realised that we've gone on about lots of bits inside the game, but not explained the character and what the game's about.
What, Geralt of Rivia?
Over to you, as you're more experienced in Witcher mythology.
Okay, a Witcher is basically a mutated human. They're trained from a young age and exposed to various mutagens that give them the ability to use Witcher potions and cast signs, and they're also able to detect monsters, and they're very good at killing monsters. They carry around generally a steel sword for regular old humies, and a silver sword for the more resilient monsters that they fight. Geralt's from a series of books published in Poland, and obviously CD Projekt Red are a Polish team and have taken, essentially their country's Lord of the Rings and made 3 really outstanding games out of it.
Yeah, I think from what I've seen of the previous games, I've only actually seen a bit of number 2, which you showed me before this review, and having played probably around 15 to 20 hours of Witcher 3, just to give you an idea of how much that only scratches the surface of this game. Yeah. There are multiple areas and regions. The guy himself, Geralt, is a great character. He's got some great dialogue. That's one thing I have noticed. The voice acting in this game is exemplary. It's awesome. Some of the jokes that get cracked. You'll never find the F word in it.
So it's not used. I think it is used, but they use stuff like ploughing.
Yeah, which is unusual because they drop the C-bomb quite a few times.
Yes, they do.
So to not put the F word in but put the C-bomb, I don't understand that logic.
No, the C-bomb is definitely the worst of the two.
I mean, for me, it's a good word, certainly for medieval times. It gets used in Game of Thrones a hell of a lot. Yeah. Actually, I was quite surprised when I heard that. Anytime I hear an American say that word as well, it's kind of strange. Or someone with an American accent saying the word. It doesn't quite sound right to me. But that's because I'm from the UK.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's plenty of adult themes in this game. And having only played, like I said, about 20 hours, you spend a lot of time doing side quests to level up. And as I said, it's an RPG player's wet dream. It's certainly a game that you can spend hours and lose yourself in. It's got a fully functioning crafting system, which I thought was really, really good.
Yeah, it's been cleaned up quite a lot from the previous game.
Yeah, I mean, when you're collecting things throughout the world, you'll be collecting junk you find in chests, money and weapons from people you kill and monsters you kill. Things like glands from monsters and brains from monsters. But in order to do some crafting, you have a choice, and it's an open-ended choice, which is something I've not seen before. In a lot of other games, when you find a weapon, you can sell the weapon, or you can dismantle the weapon. But in this game, you can pretty much do that to anything you pick up.
Yeah.
So you have an open-ended choice. Do you want money? Do you want materials? Do you want to just kind of keep it and sell it? Do you want to break it down and sell those parts, or do you want to break down the parts to build something else to get some money? If you want to get into crafting elements of an RPG, such as the great crafting system you had in things like Skyrim, and the recent game we played, Inquisition.
Yep.
There's lots of crafting elements in that, but this does it a different way. But it takes some time to get used to.
Yeah, I mean, there's a problem for me in it is that when you do alchemy and you create your witcher brews like swallow or cat or anything like that, instead of when you run out, you don't run out per se. You don't have to go and brew more. You just meditate, and then if you've got any alcohol, that basically makes more potions. Which is kind of weird for me because, like in previous games, you always had to make more of the same potion. Yeah. But I just don't understand how alcohol translates to these specific witcher potions, which generally kill regular humans.
You just need to suspend your belief there, Lee. It's just fine. I really like the crafting system. I haven't done too much brewing, but I've certainly done a lot of dismantling. And there's a couple of exploitations you can do in the game if you haven't heard of these already, to get money. One that's very well known and one that I've just come across myself. The first one is the one that everyone seems to be talking about, which is the cash cow glitch. Yep. And this is where you have a certain place in the first area or first village you enter, I think. But basically there's a field of cows. I think it holds 2 cows. You kill the cows, you might get some cow hide. That's quite well paid for by the merchants. You get like 27 gold or whatever it is, florins, orange crowns. But you get some money for the cowhide, and then what you do is you kill the cows, you then pick up the stuff, you meditate for at least 2 hours, 2 to 4 hours I think, and then when you come back they've reappeared and you kill them again, which is great because you can just go on a cow spree, but it leaves all the bodies there, so it's not really, it doesn't look very nice, but you end up with a mound of cow. And it works because you get money for it and you can cash it in.
I think you just described my dinner.
The second one I found is I managed to get myself a, for want of a better word, a recipe for some armour. So I had all the bits and pieces, built a couple of these armours. They sell for like £200 a pop, or 200 crowns for a pop. And then you can do that over and over again. And if you run out of materials, you can just then go back to the merchant and buy the materials you need to make the armour, make some more, and keep siphoning off his cash. So I think I've got about 1,500 crowns.
Yeah, I've got like a couple hundred because I keep breaking things.
Yeah, I mean, there's also that mechanic of repair, which is quite common in RPGs, but it's something that I think can be done really badly. I think, well, you didn't like it in Dying Light.
No, I didn't like it in Dying Light because the weapon, when it broke, became useless. You couldn't use it. In The Witcher 3, it just receives a penalty, and that's fine. I don't mind that because, if you're in an area where it's populated by monsters that can only be killed with your silver sword and your sword's fucked, so are you. Yeah. Whereas at least you can still fight them, and you just take longer to kill them because you're not doing as much damage. And the repairs are fairly pricey. I think the silver one, when I repaired it, was like 300 crowns. I
think it depends. If you keep them topped up, I think it's more economical. I've had it where I can repair everything and everything's been around sort of 80%, and it's cost me about 30 crowns. I remembered it next time. It's crowns. But yeah, the crafting system, the repair system, there's lots of bits underneath the game. There's also a fully functional card game.
Yes, Gwent.
Which is, to me, reminds me a little bit of Magic the Gathering, mixed up with some kind of tower defense game-ish. but it's basically it's rows where you place cards, and you can stop placing cards at any time, and then it counts up the points, and whoever has the most points wins. It's a lot more complicated than that, and it takes some time to get used to. I've played 2 matches. I drew one, and that actually made me lose. But you'll find out more about that game if you start playing it. But I think it's a really nice thing to have inside the game, and you can pick up extra cards from different merchants, and I'm sure there's an achievement somewhere for beating certain people in Gwent.
Yeah, well, there's actually a quest to like go around and beat certain people.
Yes, yeah. I don't know if that's an existing game or built for the game itself.
It has similarities, I think. I can't remember, but it does have similarities to an existing collectible card game. For me, I didn't really like Gwent that much, primarily because it gives you the tutorial, but there's no details on the cards. So I mean, you have 3 rows, and each one has a symbol which tells you what row it goes in, and the rows are marked as well. So that's fine. I don't mind that. But then you have weather effects, and what weather effects do is they knock out rows on your side and the opponent's side. But they don't tell you, apart from the very starting tutorial, what rows the weather effects affect. So you could dick yourself over seriously, and I've lost a game because I've just had like a ton of units on one row and just taken them all out because I played the wrong weather effect card.
It's just a matter of skill. Please obviously not had enough time to play the game to get you good at it.
I don't think I'll ever get good at it, as attested to by anyone who's seen my hairstyle.
But I think the fact is that the game is so massive, you probably won't have much time for Gwent unless you have to do it for a quest.
I don't know. I've like seen people streaming just continually playing Gwent.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I have not seen that myself, but it is well built and it's well made. To have something like that inside the game, it reminded me of how well Rockstar did with doing the kind of mini games in GTA 5. So you had like tennis, which is pretty good.
I would equate it more to Red Dead.
Yeah, with the poker and stuff. Yeah. It's just well built inside the game. Doesn't take you out of the game universe too much. It's certainly not a game I've seen before, so it's kind of always going to remind me of Witcher 3 if I ever see it. And I think it's a nice addition. One of the interesting things actually about when I actually first started to play Gwent, it was in a place where we had to use some of Geralt's powers, one of which is to, as you might have seen a bit earlier, somebody actually kind of like changing their perception or controlling their mind. And you have a lot of signs. You have 5 or 6. I think it's 5. Yeah,
6.
6.
I think it's 6.
6 signs that you can use for different kind of powers in the game. So one uses fire, one's a telekinetic blast, one controls mind, trap shield. And shield. Yeah. So there's lots of bits you can use in terms of Witcher powers, which is kind of nice. I didn't find the combat too difficult to get used to. No. It was a lot better, and the gore. The gore is incredible. You can cut someone in half, and it's brilliant.
Yeah, I remember talking with you, I think, across the interwebs, and basically saying, I've done 3 hours of capture. And I'm like, I cut this dude into like chunks, and he's like, did you capture? I'm like, yes.
It's fantastic. Let's just show a clip here of that. Yeah,
of this guy getting like half of his body taken out.
So there we have it. That is how you cut someone in half, and it looks so good every time. And bits go flying. You can, if you do a hard attack at the end.
You can do it with soft attacks as well.
Oh, is it soft attack? I've only managed to do it with the hard attack, but he does this lovely spinny round, get the sword on the neck, and slice off the head. I mean, okay, this is an adult game. Let's just point that out. You're not going to get someone that's like 10 years old playing this. If they are, it's probably not a good idea. But
if they are, you're a bad parent. And you'll be sorted out.
But I have to say, the gore and just the way it looks and makes you feel like a badass, which is what we want out of games like this. You want to feel like you are untouchable, but you have to work for it.
Yeah, the combat system it's really well done in the fact that you're never sort of like just going, just out of range of an enemy. It's like you
Mm.
place towards the enemy and you press the light attack and Geralt executes it. So it's kind of like, it's almost like you're not playing as Geralt, you're sort of puppeteering him and just
Yeah.
telling him what to do rather than actually making him swing his sword. You're kind of like, yes, light attack on that one, please.
Yeah, and there's also a nice mechanic that if you are button mashing against an enemy, that's not going to work if they're anywhere decent, because they can break into an attack back at you. So you might get 2 or 3 in, and then they'll strike back. So unless you're actually paying attention, you will get hit.
Yeah, and they will stun lock you if you don't roll or dodge. If you're just trying to hit them back while they're hitting you, you won't be able to do it because they will continually interrupt you.
Yeah, and there's a use of adrenaline in the actual combat system as well.
Yes.
So if you want to use your special powers, I think that uses up adrenaline.
Yeah, throwing out new signs stuff.
Yeah, so you have to be careful and cautious what you're doing there. If you get attacked, your adrenaline points go down, so you can't do it as much. So it can sit on a knife edge in terms of some combat.
I think like dodge rolling and stuff like that also depletes it.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the early story missions, it doesn't ruin too much for you, I promise. But you end up beating an introduction to fighting a large monster. It's kind of your first big boss battle.
Yeah.
And when you defeat one of these boss battles, you end up with a trophy that sits on your horse, and it gives you a buff. You know,
Yeah.
either it's like extra experience points or.
Yeah, that's a carryover. You used to basically Geralt would have a hook on his belt and he'd hang stuff off of that.
It's really good, and it's a nice kind of reminder if you particularly had a hard time beating a big boss. Anytime you get on your horse, you can have the head of something or, you know, some trophy hanging off the back of your horse. It looks great, and it's just a nice way you can actually level your horse up with those kind of things.
Yeah, you can buy new equipment for your horse, like extra saddlebags so you can get more storage on it, or blinders so
yeah.
it doesn't get as afraid as quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I've just had a great time in this game. And as I was banned from playing Destiny
Rightly so.
before we did this review, so we could actually get some time in on it. I've really enjoyed my time. I think it's a game that, it bang for buck. I mean, you get a lot in the actual basic version, as I've shown you, which is lovely to see, because it's the kind of thing, it's not trying to make us buy the extra special edition, but my God, the special edition did look good. But
Yeah.
it was expensive. So it's whether you've got the cash for that or not.
Would you plump for the season pass?
Season pass. Well, it all depends on what you get for the season pass.
Yeah, I think I'm
We need
very
to know
much in
more.
that box as well, because I mean previously in The Witcher 2 all the CD Projekt Red DLC was completely free. It just when you launched the game, you went into the launcher and it just checked and went, okay, you got this DLC now, it's downloaded, enjoy. And in this one they came out and said, oh, there's going to be a season pass, and it was like, oh,
I mean, they've given us 16 pieces of DLC, but we have to really understand what that actually means.
yeah, because
It could just be cosmetic.
if
couldn't
the
it?
season pass is just like more of what we've already gotten with the DLC that's given away for free, then maybe not. But if it's something that's a step up from those and adds a lot to the game, like more boobs,
Just random boobs floating across the plains. I don't think that would be good.
I'd pay for that.
But I think with DLC, it's very important to have stuff that's. I mean, the free DLC, if it's cosmetic stuff, great, fine. It kind of gives a bit of longevity to the game if there's more gameplay involved in those DLCs. If it's cosmetic stuff, a bit like how they did with Evolve, you know, people were a bit confused by all the DLC there. I didn't like the game that much, but the DLCs were all cosmetic. If you wanted to actually get hold of a new skin, a new, you know, covering cosmetic thing on your characters and guns, that's fine. If it's gameplay, which you said there was on the Steam, you get an extra.
Yeah, you get there's a side quest that
Yeah.
is part of the DLC they give.
So one of the things I wanted to mention about side quests was the fact that I haven't actually come into contact with anyone in those side quests, the NPCs, that have been recycled.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, it's really nice to see that they've been fleshed out. And there was one particular side quest that I had to do where I had to overhear somebody being like not too close, being out of sight, out of line of sight, but didn't give you a real guidance to how to do it. It was just kind of, okay, they've stopped talking, and they actually tell you they're stopping talking. It was quite interesting.
So it didn't tell you how to do it, and you were fine with this.
Yeah, because it was natural. Because they'd actually told me that they have stopped talking in their conversation. It didn't pull you out of the game.
Sorry, Bloodborne reference.
Exactly. See, whereas Bloodborne is completely rubbish. But no, the side quests in this were fulfilling. It didn't feel like you're just wasting time doing escort missions and chasing things or taking this to this person. Anytime somebody asked you for help, it looked like they were desperate or mental.
Or desperately mental. Or mentally desperate.
Have you come across the old lady?
Which old lady? There are a few old ladies.
That was bad, I know. The old lady by the beach who has lost her frying pan.
Yes!
That mission was great.
And she was most unhappy at being cleaned.
Yeah, it was nuts. It was just you're playing it going, what am I doing? I'm a witch. I should be killing monsters, not searching for a frying pan. But this is the kind of game it is. It makes you become part of this world, this lovely, beautiful, big universe that I believe the books for The Witcher haven't actually been released in English properly yet.
There's been some collected sort of editions. Last I heard, I haven't actually read any of them, so I could be completely wrong. But there have been some collected editions that are in English, but I don't think we've got like the full lot of them.
Yeah, so it's really difficult to talk too much about this game without talking about specifics.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. It's with the side quest. It's not like a World of Warcraft side quest where you get like 10 bushels of berries or whatever. It's actually a method they're using to indoctrinate you into the world as well, because each of the storylines you gain information about the world and how it interacts with other people, and the storylines the side quests aren't just like do this and then come back. It's like, okay, so my goat's missing, but I don't know where she went. That person might know where she went. Go speak to that person, but he's got his own problems and wants you to help out there. So it's not just like go get this, come back. It opens up a whole story arc.
And yeah, it's very easy to pick up a number of quests, and the tracking of the quests is easy enough as well.
Yeah,
it's something that's very important when you have a game with lots of quests going on, and making you point to the right places to go to them. I know there is an argument from some people to say if you have maps and marker points, then you just look at that and don't look at the world. But believe me, when you're playing this game, you want to look at the world. You won't want to look just at the map.
Yeah, there are fast travel points, but again, you need to go there first before you can use them. So you still get the experience of journeying across this fantastic world they've designed for us.
Yeah, and it kind of, one thing I did feel, the map, it looked really, really big and sparse and far apart, but it really wasn't.
No, I mean, there are like zones.
Yeah.
So you can't like travel down the map and then off the edge. At least I don't think you can. I think there's like a hard cut-off. But I've come across an area where he actually says I can't go that way. Oh, okay, cool. There is a hard cut-off. So what you need to do is you need to zoom out and then go back into the area you want to go to, and then fast travel to a point there, and that takes you to a new area, and then you can explore that whole area. So they are zoned off. It's not completely open world where you just go from one to the other, which is a shame. But with
the technical difficulties they've had, that's probably not a bad thing. But yeah, I mean, my final thoughts on the game, unless there's anything else you wanted to talk about. No?
I like the titties.
Lee likes the boobs. But I would strongly recommend buying this game if you're any kind of RPG fan. I think it's a game that will keep you entertained for God knows how many hours. I mean, Skyrim, when it came out, was like, oh, it's a 200-hour game. And then another 200 hours for side stuff. This is probably comparable, if not much, much more. I mean, I've been playing for about 20 hours. I feel like I haven't even got anywhere deep inside the story yet. There's lots to do. There's lots of things you can start crafting, building, dismantling, killing, all kinds of stuff. There's just so much to do in it. So bang for buck. Definite buy from me.
For me, I would agree with all of that assessment. And it's just fantastic. I think I prefer it over Skyrim personally, purely because with Skyrim, you're a blank slate. You've got the character is what you do, so there's no character there really. It's just you make a character through your actions rather than through conversation and relationships. Whereas because you're playing as an established character in Geralt, he's got those relationships that you are sort of piggybacking emotionally on. So for me, it just creates a much more interesting experience.
Yeah, I actually have to agree. We're supposed to have differing views on things, really.
Well, should we do Dark Souls 2 next?
No, we're not. No. But no, I agree with you, Lee. I think it's a game that does kind of, it puts you in, it carries you along on a journey rather than makes you have your own story, because that's kind of sometimes what you want out of a game. There's no perfect game in the RPG world. It's how well they deliver that message and that journey to you.
Yeah, and by saying okay, it takes you along on the journey rather than let you create your own, it sounds like a negative. And if the game was badly written, had an unlikable character, like a lot of games do.
Watch Dogs.
Watch Dogs, perfect example, and it's terrible as well.
Yeah, you don't care about the guy in Watch Dogs, but I care about Geralt in this.
Exactly. So Watch Dogs would be a far better argument for having your own character in that. But because Geralt, he's quite a likable guy, even when he's being a dick, he's quite funny.
And you get a choice in most conversational things as well, to have good and bad, and use your signs. Yeah,
and his humour's like super dry. He just says like cutting sardonic remarks, but you don't realise you're doing it because it's like the first two Mass Effects, where it will generally give you an idea of what he's going to say, but it won't be the actual line he speaks.
Yeah, and we like that because you need to have the prompt quickly to decide, and sometimes it actually has a timed response. But most of the time, you have a short line to indicate whether you're being a dick or not, and then he'll say another line completely different, and it makes you enjoy the cutscene that you're watching without repeating what you've just read on screen, which can get really tiresome in games.
Yeah, and because you don't know what he's actually going to say, sometimes when he comes out with like a witty remark, it's actually funny because you don't know it's coming.
So would you recommend buying this game now, close to release, or would you wait for it?
I would buy it now. I don't think they're going to be able to patch it up technically much more than they have, at least on the consoles. So if you're a console buyer, there's nothing to hold you back. Go get it. If you're a PC buyer, they could change it. They might not, though, because they've already tried to do the console parity thing.
Yeah.
We hate that. Well, I hate that.
And I think there's a problem with certain graphics cards as well on PC, isn't there?
AMD have complained and said basically CD Projekt Red have basically sabotaged them because it doesn't run as well on their cards as it does on Nvidia cards. But what they don't say is that CD Projekt Red approached both Nvidia and AMD during the production of the game to get involved with them, and Nvidia responded and AMD didn't. So
you done fucked it up.
God, Joe's gonna sue our asses.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I didn't say that. What you didn't hear is me saying you went and done fucked that up. That's different.
Hopefully enough.
Yeah. We love you, Joe. Not really. Maybe a little bit. But yeah, guys, that's been our review of Witcher 3, The Wild Hunt. And it's a good game, so go and buy it.
Titties.
There are titties. There are titties. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time when we review something else. Or do a Let's Play. Or listen to our podcast that we've recently been doing.
Yes, we've been enjoying that very much.
Well,
generally because we're drunk.
Yeah, we get to drink, talk bollocks, talk about games. It's great. You should check it out. But please comment and like and subscribe and everything else down below. Let us know if there's any games you want us to review. New, old, whatever, doesn't matter. Any suggestion is welcome. Guys, thanks for watching. Catch you next time.
Take it easy.
You can just get on it. And it gives you that kind of warning to say, do you want to start a romance with this person? Not with the NPCs, but with the main characters. Yeah. And it just feels so liberating. You can do almost anything. And the gameplay and what you're actually doing inside the game.
Yeah, the gameplay for me is just, it's not quite perfect, but I would blame it more on hardware limitations. I would like to see the frame rate higher in something that needs to be as responsive as this game does.